Hello, welcome to Indus News Live with me, Osman Lone. We begin this hour with our top story, and that's in Iran, where at least 40 people have been killed in a stampede at the funeral procession for Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. State media reported nearly 200 mourners were injured in the stampede as millions of people gathered there to attend the procession. Soleimani was killed in a US airstrike in Baghdad last week and was to be laid to rest in his hometown today. But the incident led to the postponement of his burial. Soleimani was widely considered the second most powerful man in Iran, behind Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Iran has designated US forces as terrorists after the killing of its military leader Qasem Soleimani. Under a bill passed by Parliament, any aid to the American military will be considered as cooperation in a terrorist act. In an interview, Foreign Minister Javad Zarif says the killing of Soleimani by the United States was an act of state terrorism. He said Iran will respond to the US aggression proportionately. Malaysia says the killing of a leading Iranian commander calls for the Muslim world to unite against foreign threats. Talking to media in Kuala Lumpur, Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad said Qasem Soleimani's killing by the US violates international laws. He said Muslims are not safe because any country can strike another with a drone if it does not like what it said. The Prime Minister said he speaks the truth and thinks he has the right to speak out on any issue. Earlier, demonstrators held an anti-US protest outside the Iranian embassy in Kuala Lumpur. The US says it has no plans to withdraw troops from Iraq after a letter from a US general suggesting a pullout. Speaking to reporters, US Defense Secretary Mark Esper said Washington is still committed to countering ISIS in Iraq. Talking about President Donald Trump's threat to target Iran's cultural sites, Esper said the US will not violate the laws of armed conflict. The chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, General Mark Milley, called his letter referring to the removal of troops from Iraq a mistake. Earlier, Iraqi Prime Minister Adel Abdul Mahdi said Baghdad and Washington should work together on the withdrawal. European countries are shrinking their presence in Iraq, and it's a response to the heightened tensions after the assassination of General Qasem Soleimani. Germany has decided to move some of its troops from Iraq to Jordan and Kuwait over security concerns. Berlin told its parliament the troop reduction was ordered by the US Joint Coalition for Fighting ISIS. The UK has reduced the number of staff at its embassies in Tehran and Baghdad, and Britain's Foreign and Commonwealth Office said the safety and security of staff is of paramount importance. Last week, NATO suspended training of Iraqi forces because of the growing instability in the country. Turkey arrests 7 suspects linked to ISIS in Izmir during recent anti-terror operations. Police say the suspects include 5 Syrian nationals. Police said the suspects were plotting terrorist attacks in Turkey. Turkish military killed 2 PKK terrorists in air-backed operations in northern Iraq. In a statement, the Ministry of Defense said the terrorists were neutralized in the Gara region. The PKK has killed over 40,000 people, including women and children, in the last 30 years. In Libya, Khalifa Haftar's forces claim they have taken control of the strategic coastal city of Sirte in an operation that lasted just hours. Haftar has been waging a military offensive on the capital city of Tripoli since last April. His Libyan National Army said they took over surrounding Sirte, including Al-Qurbiya Air Base, before moving towards the city centre.
The High Command for the Libyan National Army officially announces the liberation and the purification of the city of Sirte from terrorism and from criminals. We have always thought of the city of Sirte, which is dear to our hearts. We have always laid military plans for it, but have always postponed these plans so that Sirte would not fall prey to the clashes.
In Nigeria, 30 people have been killed by a bomb blast at a crowded market on Al Baid Bridge along the border with Cameroon. Witnesses say people jumped into the river to save their lives. Army officials say 35 others were injured in the attack. Both Boko Haram and the regional branch of ISIS known as ISWAP are active in the area. However, no group has claimed responsibility for the attack. The violence has spread to neighbouring Niger, Chad and Cameroon, prompting a regional military coalition to fight militants. Israel has approved the construction of nearly 2,000 new illegal residencies in occupied Palestinian territories. The illegal settlement monitor, Peace Now, said 786 housing units have received the final endorsement. It said 150 units were approved for deposit of Phase 1 of their planning. The group said 89% of their new homes will be erected in settlements that Israel may have to evacuate under a future peace agreement with the Palestinians. Peace Now says settlement building has vastly increased under Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his ally US President Donald Trump. Indian forces have martyred another youth in occupied Kashmir's Pulwama district. The occupying forces martyred the civilian during a cordon and search operation in Charsu Antipora area of the district. Witnesses say the occupying Indian forces launched the operation earlier today. Earlier on January the 2nd, the Indian troops killed 3 Kashmiri youths in the Rajouri district of the valley. The occupied valley is reeling under an Indian clampdown for the last 156 days. In India, police have registered a case against students attacked in Jawaharlal National University instead of those who assaulted them. On Sunday, a group linked with the ruling BJP stormed into the university, attacked students and vandalized the institution. In the FIR, the university administration has nominated Union President Aisha Ghosh and 19 others for alleged vandalism. Meanwhile, a massive protest was held at the Gateway of India and later forcibly shifted to Azad Maidan. Police manhandled and dragged demonstrators from the Gateway to clear the area. The students also held protests in Kolkata, Chennai, New Delhi, Hyderabad and Pune against the incident. Pakistan's National Assembly has passed 3 bills formalizing the tenure of 3 military chiefs. 3 bills are Pakistani Army Amendment Bill 2020, Pakistan Air Force Bill 2020 and Pakistan Navy Bill 2020. The Federal Defence Minister Pervez Khattak presented the bill in the Parliament. As the voting begins, the bills were passed by the lawmakers clause by clause. The legislation sailed through the House almost unanimously, with all major parties lending complete support for bills. Well, we'll be back with more news from around the world right after this short break. Hello again, it's good to have you back. Now in Australia's southeast coast, while conditions have improved slightly over the weekend, wildfires burnt over 8.6 million hectares of land. The region is still choking on thick smog and an evacuation is underway. More in this report.
Dead birds and burnt leaves lay scattered across the sands of the once picturesque fishing village of Eden in New South Wales. Businesses usually boom at this time of the year, with tourists flocking to the beaches in the summer season. This year, the wildfires have significantly cut the number of sunseekers in the area. Residents are wondering how they will make it through the rest of the year. News agency owner Lynn Baxter, 55, spent all her life in Eden and owned her business for 12 years.
Down 85 to 90% at the moment due to what's happened around the area. Yep. The tourists have had to leave. They evacuated the tourists. That was our income.
She's not the only one who has suffered. Antique shop owner Eric Wolski has experienced a slump in sales.
Well, compared to last year this time, business obviously is down. We've had 2 cruise ships cancelled just in the period between New Year's Eve and today.
Wolski believes not all hope is lost, but all he can do now is wait for the visitors to return.
The annual vibrant Black and Whites Carnival has taken place in the southwestern Colombian city of Pasto. The event has its origins in a mix of Andean, Amazonian and Pacific cultural expressions. Indus News has this report.
Black and white by name, but not by nature, Colombia's Black and Whites Carnival is a riot of color with musicians, dancers, and colorful floats filling the streets.
It's a joy to bring joy to people, to not just be part of the parade, but also part of the music and making people dance. One feels happy, content, to be Runanense and to mix with all the residents here, with tourists, and to make them happy is an immense joy.
On the Day of the Whites, artists put together a 6-hour parade featuring colorful outfits. On the Day of the Blacks, participants will paint their faces black to commemorate the liberation of slaves. Elaborate headgear and bright eye makeup is a must.
The cultural expressions of the artisans, that is the best here. Narino is a very beautiful place to visit. We are from Broyeca, and this is all spectacular. I just can't imagine all the creativity. How do they have so much talent?
Since 2009, the carnival has been on UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity list. With thousands of people taking part, it is the largest in the region.
In the United States, the South Korean automaker Hyundai has unveiled its first flying car concept at the CES fair in Las Vegas. The car maker is the first to launch its vision for electric flying cars meant to ease urban congestion. More about the flying cars in this report.
A flying car called the SA-1, presented at the Las Vegas Consumer Electronics Show, is an innovative leap for Hyundai. The new car, with a seating capacity for 5 people, including the pilot, is designed to fly up to 60 miles with a cruising speed of up to 180 miles per hour. In a video presented at the tech fair, the South Korean company showed off a kind of helipad. When it lands, the flying car connects with autonomous vehicles.
We can reduce travel time drastically by averting ground traffic congestion. I would like to call this new era an era of liberation from gridlock and the democratization of flight.
The business is a new partnership with Uber to develop air taxis. Hyundai will produce and deploy the flying cars, and Uber will provide airspace support services and customer interfaces.
We're not an aircraft manufacturing company, and we have no intention of becoming one. Our ecosystem model is based on collaboration with best-in-class companies like Hyundai, who will ultimately manufacture the safe, reliable, high-quality Uber air taxis that we'll deploy on our platform.
While technology firms are in a race to develop flying cars to overcome urban congestion, even so, significant technological and regulatory obstacles still remain to be addressed.
SpaceX has launched its third batch of 60 Starling satellites as part of its 2020 plan to get 1,500 satellites into space. It successfully landed its Falcon 9's first stage rocket on the drone ship stationed in the Atlantic Ocean. In May, SpaceX launched the first batch of 60 operational satellites into low Earth orbit. It plans a so-called Starling constellation, a network of up to 30,000 satellites in low Earth orbit, to beam broadband internet globally.
There is stage separation.
Now in business news, European stock markets have rebounded, breaking a 2-day losing streak. Investors are driving a fresh rally, halting panic sell-offs. Frankfurt's DAX and CAC 40 in Paris are trading 0.75% higher. London's FTSE 100 has gained marginally, as Rolls-Royce stocks rose about over 0.5%. In Asia, the Nikkei 225 led the gains, closing over 1.5% higher. Seoul's Kospi and Shanghai Composite also gained ground. Let's take a look at the latest weather from around the world. Well, that's all from me and the team here in Lahore, but we have headlines coming up on the hour, and for the latest updates on all of our stories, you can follow us on social media at Indus.news. Bye-bye.